Hello, welcome to Box Sport, and tonight we're going to look at the last of the supplemental rulebooks for the divisions in Star Trek Adventures, and this one is the Sciences Division. Now, the Sciences Division is one I've been really looking forward to, so let's crack on. First thing, inside. Wow, I just got to say this. Look at this picture. It's absolutely mad. It's fantastic. Really, really nice. Sorry, just totally by the way. Nice little touch. We've got in here quite a lot about Science Division incorporates basically the sciences and medic. So medical. So let's have a look. So there's a bit that gives you at the very beginning. The introduction tells you basically what the different bits are. So it tells you chapter 2 is about Sciences Division, how it's organised, then how characters are built in chapter 3. Then it goes into chapter 4, research and development. Chapter 5 is using the Sciences Division. Chapter 6 is science personnel, and whenever they say Sciences Division, don't forget it'll be department. It'll include medical as well as sort of Starfleet science. So, chapter 2, as per usual, this is all very well themed. You've got your normal kind of bits, as we're used to now from the other division books, division supplementals. We've got a bit about the history of them, a bit about how they're organised. Some interesting stuff in here with protocols like so survey mission protocols and first contact protocols, things like that actually are quite nice, give you a real flavour. So as a player or a GM, they'd be useful. Then there's bits about scientific mystery and lost ships and temporal missions and all kinds of bits and pieces. Some bits and pieces about follow-up missions and other exploration organisations within Starfleet and outside Starfleet as well, which is kind of cool. Then there's a bit about Starfleet science and a bit about what star science missions are like, and what they involve. A little bit about things, the types of vessels and places they're involved. You get about the day standard kind of stuff in a lot of ways. You get a lot of background, a lot of fluff, which is really good, as we've come to expect from these rule books, or these from these supplementals. Starfleet medical, nice little call outs and adding flavour again. Some bits and pieces about what medical missions can entail, or what they entail, and what kind of bits and pieces there are. Interesting thing in this one, you've got the whole issue of counsellors and how to use counsellors in game, which is in some ways really a bit of a challenge, but in other ways really good opportunity, depending what way you look at it, depending what kind of people you've got in your party, what kind of party you've got. And there's a wee bit about how the characters then come up, and this bit is actually kind of, to me, this is one of the core bits of the book. So whenever you're developing, what are they like? So you've got the whole thing about roots in. There's the interesting thing with creating science characters is you've got a number of different routes in. So you've got an internship major. You've also got university alumni major. So I think that's right. And instead of attending Starfleet Academy for 4 years, players may choose to have been educated at one of the major universities, and there are some quirks and some quirks that come with that, which is quite nice. Then there's a bit about what, as we've come to expect with these books, what the different science scores represent, and how they play with other disciplines, and then, which I really like, the examples of people who use them. Focuses, we've got a few. Science has always been quite well sourced, I think, in the original book. But there's a few extra ones and a bit more detail to a number of them, which is quite nice. The talents are really interesting, really good. Some of them, I think, they tend to be, I think, towards the higher end of a number of different bits and pieces. But I don't know. Well, I say that's not true. But they've got a few bits and pieces in there that are quite nice. Medical school, then you've got a similar kind of thing for them. What's interesting is you get a bit about enhancements, which I think is quite nice and quite interesting. Then there's a bit about how Starfleet Medical is organised, some of the different life path, different ways through it. Finishing touches, you can, where's it? There's rules and what the different rules are, and how they work, which I thought was quite cool and quite interesting. Then we've got, you know, the whole thing, as we were saying before, you know, what a score 1 looks like in game, what a score 5 looks like in game. We get then how they interact with other disciplines and some examples of people in that position. And then we get the focuses. Now, focuses here I think are actually quite useful or quite interesting. Although I can't really think of a situation where you're going to want a dentist. But you never know. There's a few sort of bits and pieces that you know that are highlighted in there. Then we've got medicine, treatment, and talents, which some of these are more useful than others, and some of these you can see will, as a GM, would give you if people are selecting them, give you an indication of what way they want to play. I think that's quite interesting, quite a useful sort of guide. Research and development then has got a fairly big it's got, you know, a section itself, which I thought was quite cool. You've got a whole bit about medical equipment and the different types of medical equipment, so you can do Trek speak, or Trek nababble as they like to call it, and a whole thing about different drugs and what they do. So if you're playing a medical character, it gives you some language you can use, and which is quite nice. Then they do a bit. I thought this was one of the most interesting bits. Is the bit about unusual life forms. So and this gets really interesting to me. Is these weird, wonderful life forms that you see in Trek every now and again, and some like there's ones here that are spaceborne, and you've got those wonderful, you know, non-corporeal life forms and things like that. I thought this was really, I liked that. I really liked that. You know, because you know, gives as a GM, it gives you some things you can really play with. Then we've got a bit about scientific mysteries, including things like parallel universes, psychic powers, sentient evolution, subspace corridors and subspace rifts, all kinds of stuff like that. Really exciting bit. You've got the queue, and how to integrate the queue into your games could be kind of fun and actually quite tricky. So they've thought it through a little bit and given it its own section. Another section that's quite exciting: time travel. Big feature of a lot of different episodes and how it works and the temporal regulations and ethics and mechanics and stuff like that, which I thought was really nice. And there's whole wee, you know, how to run it and stuff like this. Then we get bits in the science division. So this is the bit that I think in all 3 books has been really useful. You've got your bits about how to generate different plot components. So if I'm playing a science and I want to do a red plot, what's that going to look like? What are the options for my science guys? How are we going to build a plot around that? And the same goes for medical as well. So building storylines and some guidance and help on that, and I think that's really useful. It's one of my favourite sections that's been in these books so far, and I think it's just so helpful as a GM. Then we get a bit about spatial and planetary phenomena. I think this was in the original book. There's a little bit about it, but a bit more depth, a bit more, you know, flavour to it. Which is quite nice, and things like terraforming. We get a bit, ship's counselors get their own little section. Creating aliens, awesome bit. You get a bit about, you know, what star they're in, and there's a step-by-step process. You can do it randomly, you can build around it. It's really nice. I really like this. You get, you know, so you get, you know, what are the physical characteristics, what the place they're like, all that kind of stuff. What's their environment, what's their culture, you know, and a bit about each bit of that, and then finishing touches and special rules and all kinds of stuff that you can really go to town with and have a lot of fun with. Then there's some stuff about hostile environments and how people can operate in them, which is kind of cool. Biological hazards, what those are like. They do feature quite a lot in the series. The effect of weather, and then we get our obligatory, you know, sort of NPC characters that can be used for science and for medicine, which is quite cool. And yeah, it's you know this there's some you know goes on supporting characters and different bits and pieces. I love it. I think it's great. The thing I like about this is I think there's a lot of little bits that as a GM, I think for GMs this could be a fun book to use, because there's a lot of little hooks all through this book. And actually, I really love the fact that there's some of this that you're going to look at and you're going to go, yeah, well, I really want to have that Q episode. I think we need that, you know. And nothing screams Trek like having a Q episode and temporal anomalies and, you know, a bit of Technobabble and all those things that we love about the series. You can actually grab them. You can really grab them and run with them. So I think this is really good. Who would it really be best for? I think for for GM it's useful. I think it's extremely useful. I think for players it's pretty good. But for me, I would say it's the kind of thing. I think these books as a whole, they're the kind of thing that you basically buy. Your GM probably has them, and he lends them to other players, and they get a flavour and a feel, and they get their bit. But I think that's the way that you get the best use out of them. But I think they're kind of awesome and kind of cool. And there is another thing with this, and you can put them all together, and we will do a video on, basically how they all work together. And I'm really looking at what we've got now, because I think this now feels like we've got this game at the point where it's going to be a lot of fun to play. A lot, it's good without supplements, but it's awesome with them. Okay, thank you for watching. As ever, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we love it whenever people subscribe, so please do. And have a great evening.